Good morning and welcome to Gulfstream today. Brian Nadeau, Ashley Mayu with you on a beautiful day here in Hollandale Beach. There you see it, a fast main track. We are off the turf today. Can't quite see Noah's Ark on the infield lake, but it came down yesterday, so we're on the all-weather Tapeta in those off-the-turf races. We'll give you some scratches, and of course, announcer Pete Aiello coming up soon, but we've got a beautiful day here on tap for a 9-race card.
It is beautiful. Yesterday looked like it might be a nice day, as you mentioned. It was kind of a roller coaster ride with the weather. It was raining at one point while also sunny and clear skies to the left of the track. So interesting to see how that played out. But as you mentioned, we're off the turf today, but looks like it's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah, if you meant 30% chance of rain, I think I'm going to take the over on that. Yesterday it came down about 6 separate times, but we've got that behind us, and what we've got going forward, $200,000 in the gross guaranteed Rainbow Six jackpot. Ronnie will have a ticket. He'll be with us later as well. That's coming up in race 4, and it grows quickly here at Gulfstream Park. We paid it out on Sunday, $3.5 million into the pool that day, and already $200,000 after 2 racing days. So a lot to look forward to. A 12-race card tomorrow. That's probably, barring a getting hit today, will only go that much higher. Let's take a look at the early pick 5, though. My ticket here as we draw in on 56 minutes to the opener. I've got a $75 play. I got to be honest, I was hoping for a scratch or two. This is obviously a little bit more than I normally spend. With that being said, I had $15 in the late pick 5, so we'll just kind of, slide it in the middle, and that's 45 apiece, so I went with it. Deep spread in the opener. Ashley and I will get to it in a second. 65 in race 2. Smiling Tuffles, Danny Urtak riding the wave here this winter. He has been on fire. We're going to play that one right back. In race 3, top pick Appalachian Heights for Fausto Gutierrez. The single comes in race 6, and Silver Cloud was a single on the turf. Silver Cloud is certainly a single on the Tapeta. And then we're hoping for chaos, Ashley, in race 5. Number 2, Nobel on top. I also think just 7, Joyful Surprises live. Maybe 0 for 17 turns into 1 for 18. There it is, $75. And like I said, you can kind of weave your way through that sequence and narrow it down if you'd like. But in the opener, Ashley, interesting to see where you're going in this $25,000 maiden claimer. These are 3-year-olds on the Tapeta, about 1.70 miles. You go with number 4, Canthartana, Lasix, and also first-time gelding as well.
Yeah, a lot of things going on here. For me, I think when I looked at this field, there may be a couple horses you could use in the top spot. And looking at Seffi Joseph's horse, I know didn't show anything last time out, but that was going a mile on the turf. Did have a good synthetic race on debut. Finished 3rd. Didn't take a whole ton of play in there. Was 6-1. Well beaten, but the top 2 were clear of the field. The second-place finisher came back to win next time out. Now, the question is, can this one go long on the Tapeta? Because couldn't go long last time out, but I like the addition of Lasix. And Safi is just so dangerous when he drops horses from the maiden special weight level to the maiden claiming ranks. Yeah. I mean, he's almost 40%. It's one of his best stats.
Yeah, and the post last time was impossible. Right. So I think you're just allowed to focus on that debut on the Tapeta. Now gets to run longer. Just a couple bookkeeping notes here. David Baracco is going to ride the 5. Now, if you printed out your past performances early, you might see some Junior Alvarados in there. I did that, so we've got some jockey changes that if you print it out late, you don't have to worry about, but I'll just mention them. Luis Saez rides the 6. I go down inside Chrome's right for Maker on the drop. Another one of those special weight droppers. First time in the barn from Tim Ham. Tyler rides. Let's take a look at a trainer stat, too. It's a pretty good one for Mike Maker here. And this is 5 for 21, 24% with a big 249 ROI on the trainer change to all-weather routes the past 5 years. We've got a perfect post down inside to save all the ground, too.
This is a horse on debut. I thought it was a good race. I know it was sprinting, but this horse was very green on debut. Now, I will say disappointed next time out. Was also going from maiden 40 to maiden special weight ranks at Tampa. Now, you mentioned joins the barn of Mike Maker. For me, this was a fringe player. I was thinking about tossing this horse somewhere on my tickets and decided to opt elsewhere.
What do you got going on with Dubrovnik, who I didn't use in a 5-horse spread here?
Well, Dubrovnik didn't show any, maturity last time out, and that maiden optional was picked out. I believe there was a shake on this horse, and this is a horse that decided he wanted to go back to the barn. Didn't really want to participate in that race, so he took some playing there. Was 2-1 on debut. He's an okay 4th behind Provocateur at Tampa. I'm just hoping, you kind of look at his workouts. I don't see anything really, at least out of the gate. So I'm hoping, he was fine out of the gate, but he showed some greenness. So I hope that they have taken him to the track a bunch to kind of school him and get that out of him.
Well, he's 2-1 early. Dennis must have bet already because he was pulled off and Van off last time. So maybe it's Dennis's money. 2-1 early. I mean, take it, tab the tote here, though, in all seriousness, as we draw in on post, because that's obviously very, very live. Early pick 4 time in race 2. It's a $20,000 starter allowance, 6 furlongs here. 4-year-olds and up, down inside for you, Granger County with Saez.
This is a horse that actually had experience at that starter allowance level 2 and 3 starts back. I thought the race 3 back behind Frenchman Street, this horse only missed by half a length. I think this was a really good performance. Was also wide in there, and now I know it was on the Tapeta. As far as the dirt races, leaves something to be desired. Only 1 for 7 over the main track, 1 for 6 looking at the fast track, but he does have a win at the distance. Last time out was pretty dominant in that win, looked pretty easy for him with an 86 buyer. So hopefully he can transform his kind of recent Tapeta races to the dirt.
He was on the ticket originally. I've got him in 3rd, and I didn't want to give out a $112, so he got the slash. But if I could have, I would have used him as well. I go to the number 6, Smiling Tuffles. I mentioned Danny Hertak is just having a big winter here. I thought it was a good second to Awesome Grit last time. We'll see if we can take the wave all the way to the shore this time.
This is a horse that had a really good race last time out. I thought that was really strong. It was a little deeper than his previous race where he was kind of much the best winner. But I do think we have a trainer stat here for Danny Hertak that we can show. You mentioned he's had a great winter at Gulfstream Park. But just looking at the dirt sprints at Gulfstream the past year, 26% from a sample size of 23. A really nice ROI, $5.41. And like I mentioned, this horse is just about as consistent as he could be. He's 8 for 10 in the money, 3 of which have been wins.
Number 5 for me, New York Style. Do you have this? You don't have this one in the mix. I've got him 2nd. You know, Rises in Class are happy. I thought this horse was pretty darn good last time.
He was really good. He was much the best last time out. My concern was that it was at the 12.5 level. Luckily for him, unlike my top pick, that race was on the dirt at today's distance. But these are deeper waters. I mean, that's why I went with, Smiling Tuffles in the 2nd spot. I think he makes a lot of sense. But New York Style, if he can rise to the class level here, he's fine. But I've noticed something else about him. He got out of the gate last time out and was able to kind of just keep on opening up on the field. Sometimes when he's pressured, he's not as game.
Yeah, well, 45 flat last time. That'll do it. A huge jock upgrade. No disrespect to Lionel Reyes. Irad gets aboard first rule.
Yeah, the first rule is one that I used underneath here as well. Starter allowance in those last 2. He's kind of been rounding out the try. He's been consistently getting those minor checks. So I think with the way he's running, he's hard to, maybe endorse on the top spot, but underneath you can use him.
Race 3 is 7 furlongs on the main track, $35,000 maiden claimers here. These are for the 3-year-old fillies. And you go to, it's a good segue, perfect. You go to number 6, South Pacific. Ronnie pulled up some replays today. Let's take a look at this one on debut for Safi.
Yeah, it's an interesting performance. This one on debut at that $35,000 level. So it's going to stay there today. You can see the number 6 horse here on February 12th. And I thought the performance, horse is kind of mid-pack early on. You can see trying to make a move here. And you can just see in the white cap there is trying to inch away and try to gain ground. He does make up some ground here late. He hits his best stride late in the stretch. Chestnut Checkers we've talked about before. Took a while to graduate and finally is able to get it done in this spot. But this horse is still grinding. That's at 6.5 furlongs. So today you get an extra half furlong.
Yeah, and the other thing you really have to like here too, it's Safi second out maiden. I know Todd Pletcher had this one on debut, but Safi is so strong second out maidens. The stat doesn't really show up. He's 31%, 23% off the claim, firmly on my radar here. Number 5, Appalachian Heights, Fausto Gutierrez, Jose Ortiz team up on a maiden special weight dropper. Didn't take any money on debut. It's a small sample, and I know Latruska kind of fills up the sample. They are 5 for 7 together when they get in. 31%, 4 for 13 first time in the barn.
This horse was at least in a good spot early on in that race at Tampa, going 1:40, so cutting back today. But I thought this horse at least showed not necessarily one at the front, but was forwardly placed. It did tire in there, but it was on debut. You mentioned joining a new barn today could be something to kind of note. And I do like the most recent workout. Seemed like it was a bit of a tune-up. It was kind of faster than we've seen from her in the past and was out of the gate.
Blustery for JT and Luis Saez. Jonathan Thomas starting to get some traction at the meet after running underneath, quite a bit. Second blinker, second Lasix here with Blustery in the big drop.
It's always something to watch the Tampa form. We talked about several horses now in the first 3 races coming from Tampa, coming over to Gulfstream Park. Sometimes it's hard to translate that form. This horse was a decent 3rd at the maiden special weight ranks. Before that was 4th prior. That was on the synthetic at Turfway Park. Now, workouts, you can see they're at pace and they're nothing. They're just kind of looking at the surface and the times, nothing to note. But I would expect this one to maybe do better, suck it off of that little bit of a freshening that break. Luis Saez for Jonathan Thomas, never a bad thing.
Yeah, Jonathan's about 30% because for many reasons. One of them is spotting his horses in the right spots. 3 down, 6 to go. We'll take a quick break here on Gulfstream today. When we come back, Ronnie's Rainbow 6. Stay tuned.
And they're off. path. Ground on first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 on top. Last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Brian and Ashley here on a fast main track. We're off the turf. We go to the all-weather Tapeta on the 9 race car. Beautiful day, though, if you want to come down to Hollandale Beach here. Now, race 4, we are off the turf in this $40,000 starter, so we're going to go about 5 on the Tapeta. It's also Rainbow 6-time, as I mentioned, $200,000 gross guarantee in the pool. Ronnie's got a ticket. I got a feeling it's 43.20.
Yeah, we would expect this from Ronnie. One day he's going to pull a trick on us, though. It won't be 43.20. You can see he's 3 runners in this first leg. The 1 Ladies' Choice, the 3 6 feet apart, and your single, the number 6 Silver Cloud. Also uses 3 runners in race 5, this is where you decided to spread in that early pick 5, and I think you had, if not all of these, or at least most of these horses, the 2, 8, and 10. And you can see from there he starts to kind of be a little bit more selective in race 6, just using the 1 Red Wind and the 5 Fillmore East, who I think are the kind of the logical top 2 in there. And still 2-2, and then to wrap things up, he'll go 3 deep and that nightcap. I do think this is kind of an interesting way to end it. He's the 1 Mosaic as well as the number 6 Watch It and the 7 Investment Income for Chad Brown. So 43.20 as per usual.
And Ronnie's driving into the office now, but he will be with us all day this afternoon, so look forward to that, and he'll be giving that ticket out in a little bit as well. Back to race 4. I'm going to start it, and we do have a trainer stat. My best bet of the day here is Silver Cloud. And it was the best bet on the turf, but we've got no problems making this the best bet on the Tapeta as well because she ran very, very good. Let's take a look at the trainer stat here. Danny Gargan is just huge, high percentage. This is on turf, so I take this with a grain of salt, but I wanted to leave this because I know we're on the Tapeta here. This horse has run well on the Tapeta before, so I think it still plays a little bit. 6 or 12, 50%, 332 ROI, second off the claim. Yes, again, on turf, but like I mentioned, I think it still plays here because we always think, you handle the turf, you can handle the Tapeta as well. So Silver Cloud, perfectly drawn outside, going to be a heavy favorite, but Ashley, I don't see much in her way here.
No, I think her main threat's who we use in the second spot, 6 feet apart, who's interesting. Started off strong, got a little cold, and then finally graduated last time out. So I think the big thing that Silver Cloud has over the field, if you want to compare to 6 feet apart, not going to pace winners for the first time like the other filly is, and has a ton of experience. She's got 8 starts under her belt. She's only had 1 bad performance, which was on debut at Hawthorne as a 2-year-old on the main track. So when you look at her races, you mentioned, has that experience on synthetic, both at Arlington Park and Gulfstream Park. I thought last time out, she ran a career best number and was second, but chased the winner throughout. So I think it was kind of a not to her advantage in that spot. So really, how can you knock a filly like that who's been so consistent?
I agree. 6 feet apart, will be in front. She's got that going for her. Another one of these, if you print it early, no junior today. We hope to see him tomorrow. Irad Ortiz is going to ride here. It's a send mission, right?
It's a send mission. That's how she won last time out. She was in for that, maiden optional, and with her being a Kentucky bred, was in for that $40,000 tag. Now the runner-up, Morning Cocktail, came back to win next time out. She ran well on debut at Keeneland, going 5.5. You can see her races from there. Not typically necessarily what you'd see from Wesley. 2 or 3 starts maybe, and it took her a little bit more to graduate. Now, I will say you can probably make an excuse for her race 2 back with it being a yielding surface at Kentucky Downs. She probably didn't care for that and tired on the front end. So we'll see which version of her comes up, but she should be the pace setter.
It'll be interesting to see what Ladies' Choice does early down inside. She's got the speed to be part of it, and you just wonder, if you take back, you run the risk of being shuffled back. Ronnie pulled up a replay of her. She's the 5 horse here. This was back in October on the engine, the 5.
Yeah, this is an interesting filly. You mentioned she does have speed, and her best races, her two wins have come on the front end. You can see here she is on the front end here. It's actually in September this race, so she's going to pick up that second lifetime win while in for 35, and she set some blistering fractions in here. Have it though, it was on the turf. Now she's on the Tapeta. She raced on the Tapeta last time out for the first time out, and didn't perform too well, but she did have problems in that race. I'm willing to excuse that.
Yeah,
effort.
and that's why I wanted to show it too, because you're right. That was the run two back. Yes, it was on turf, but again, I think you can be forgiving of that race. I do like Silver Cloud in here, but Ronnie's giving you a lot of coverage on horses that won't be favored. Late pick 5 time in race 5. It's a $16,000 maiden claimer. We're about 5 on the Tapeta. We always were on the Tapeta. We'll take a look at my late pick 5 ticket here, and it's just 15, and that's why I felt okay about doing 75 in the opener, which is a little bit much. I'm going to spread here. I'd like to think I'm going to be alive, and I kind of need a price too, because I'm very, very tight and condensed in the rest of the way. My price play is in race 6, Domineering 12 on the morning line, back-to-back singles. Cadencia is going to be a very, very short price on the drop for Pletcher. Smarmy for Phil Bauer could be, anything to 5. A really kind of a exciting horse that's going to run in the Florida bred ranks for the first time. And then we get out in the finale. We'll show a replay of Mose, but the top pick is actually Watch It. I mean, that's a fascinating battle between those two. They did it on debut as well. Ashley, back to the first leg of the sequence in here. To me, it's a tough race. To me, it's a spread race. Somehow we land on the same horse. Nobel.
Yeah, Nobel to me kind of stood out. When you talk about what you've done lately, and that's always the phrase I use, Nobel's, at least those last 2 performances, both here on the Tapeta, have been strong. Now, they've been third place finishes. They've been at this level. Has had that one at 5, 5.5, so they're comparable distances. I thought that race 2 back, Awesome Family, ran a really good race. Admiral Truff to win it next time out. And then last time out was part of that pace scenario. It was actually on the lead, so a little closer to the pace than 2 starts back, and just hung around for a share.
I've got Joyful Surprise in second. She's on your radar as well. 20's on the morning line. Listen, she's 0 for 17. You know what you're getting with a horse like this. With that being said, Ashley, she ran pretty big in a fast race for the level last time. If the buyers are your jam, she's got the biggest last out figure.
Well, they are my jam.
Yeah.
So I did see that. She got a 62 and she's got a 61, 3 starts back. And you can see, I mentioned it with the other horse. I mentioned the name Admiral Truffles. Admiral Truffles, you'll see Awesome Family's name here twice because, 3 starts back, she finished second. And then most recently, she had to face that one again, or I should say he, and Awesome Family was able to win. But he was only beaten by 2.5 last time out. I thought it was an okay performance. Really, for me, was Keenan on the 1-3 back. I thought it was a bigger field and a better performance. Gadiel Martinez back aboard today. So depending which version shows up, there's no reason he can't get a piece.
No, if the version last time or 3 back
Yeah.
runs, I mean, you could make a case that as good as anybody in here. We both go outside to Bella Future for second you, third for me. Don't forget, the 11 Mindship Q is Al. Pete's coming up, scratches and changes. So this is the outside draw for Bella Future.
2 starts back. This one had a pretty good performance on the 4th of July at the $16,000 level. Yes, it was on the turf, but this horse was part of that pace scenario. So now has the outside draw. You still have to think this one's going to be involved early, just looking at those several performances back.
Late pick 4 time in the 6. We are on the Tapeta, about 5. We always were on the Tapeta. Fillies and mares 4 and up, and this 12-5 3L. You've got a late pick 4.
I do have a late pick 4 ticket here, just using 2 in this first leg. The same horses that Ronnie uses in that Rainbow 6. I like the 1 Red Win, as well as the number 5 Fillmore East. Race 7 just too deep, using the 2 and the 5. I know everyone likes Cadencia. You have to use Cadencia on the drop, but I'm curious to see how Proliferation, the number 5, does second time out for Brian Lynch. You can see race 8 3 deep, but for me, race 9, I use all of the same horses that at least you guys have talked about in your other tickets. But my horse in here, I do have a long shot of the number 4 Sonura, third time out for Barclay Tag. I like the last effort on the Tapeta, so I'm going to use this one. Hopefully I'll get 6-1 or around there.
I'm a little bit the other way. So you've got, who do you have on top in here? I went with number 4, Domineering, and this is my price long shot play of the day. It's Rohan Crichton, who's just having a really strong championship meet. And I know the 2 Tapeta runs were no great shakes. I readily admit that, but they were routing, and they were against tons better here. You see the 58 buyer puts this one in the mix with a field like this. I think, plenty of foundation for the cutback as well. And I think there's some speed in here, too.
Now, you mentioned the 2 Tapeta runs being against Tougher. I completely agree. Last time out, showed some early foot, didn't make the lead, though, and tired in there. It was against $20,000 horses, and it was going a mile on the turf. So Depends which version shows up of her, because it seems to me she hasn't been on the same level that she was before she had that break in, say, September to November. But I could see using her. It's Rohan Crichton. You mentioned his numbers are pretty good across the board.
Yeah, without a doubt. Ronnie's old buddy, Fillmore East, for you on top. Jose D'Angelo just doing everything right. We got a rise in class off the 2L win, though.
He needs to rise in class. And then, for me, I saw that race 2 back where I thought she ran pretty well. She was second, beaten by neck. She came back. She was able to get that win. Javier was aboard for the first time, gets back aboard today. So I like that. And I know the outfit has a lot of good numbers. I know Winner's Last Out isn't their strongest, but I think this is the sort of filly that since joining the barn has been trending in the right direction.
You brought up a good point. That's a wild stat because Jose's like 25% with everything he does. You see it on your form here. He's 7% next out, but he popped with that yesterday, so it's a little higher. Red Wind down inside for you. Jose's going to ride here. Junior Alvarado again off today. If you printed early, again, he's not on. Jose Ortiz is going to ride. Bobby DeBona off the claim.
First off the claim, Barn not having the best of times right now, first off the claim, but this is a filly that's run second in her last 3 starts. It doesn't seem like she's been able to get that third lifetime win. Now, her second lifetime win came against 8,000 non-winners of 2 lifetimes, so she needs to show a bit more. She's going to close from off the pace. She's got some pace to her outside. I think the tempo should be right. She's going to get a rider change, as you mentioned today, Jose Ortiz, but I just want her to show more, and I have some reservations about using her on the top spot.
American taps off the Barboza claim, and that's 24%. Now, it's tough to improve off the pink silks of Gary Barber and Mark Cassie. I thought this one ran sneaky good last time. The only one to stick around on a pace that kind of fell apart late.
Yeah, the pace did fall apart. You see Red Wind finished right in front of her, was closing from off of it. Victor Barboza, you mentioned, does well off the claim. Rafael Hernandez has experience on her in her last 2 and actually picked up that second lifetime with darts back, so she's a logical as well.
Last chance for a pick 3 in the 7th. Now we're off the turf here, so we'll go about we'll go a mile 70 on the Tapeta. It's a $40,000 maiden claimer, fillies and mares 4 and up. The Florida Breds don't have to run for the tag. We're both using Proliferation. Second time starter. Yes, Cadencia will be a short price favorite. Proliferation, second out for Lynch and Julian, could move forward off that MSW debut.
I'm trying to be Cadencia because I know the price is going to be really short. Now, I didn't single Proliferation because I think that'd be crazy looking at Cadencia on the drop. But for Proliferation, this is a horse that I was intrigued in on debut. Didn't take a lot of respect, but was forwardly placed, going a mile and an eighth. It's going to cut back today and try the Tapeta. The barn's decent with maiden second time out, and their synthetic numbers have been really great at the meet so far. Julian was aboard on debut, stays aboard. So I just think looking at numbers and first out, this horse going from maiden special weight to 40, to me, made the most sense if you're going to try to beat Cadencia.
I agree, and also, you're going 9 furlongs on debut is not easy, and she chased the winner the entire way, so I think it's a little bit better than it looks, so I'm with you. Don't sleep on her. With that being said, let's take a look at a replay for Cadencia. It's going to be a heavy favorite here on the special weight drop for Pletcher. She's the 4 here, and it just didn't happen at the start.
No, she kind of took her chances out of this race, and you can see right there, you mentioned the number 4, and she's now shuffled back. It has 2 horses in front of her. She's got to kind of try to get a good position at this point. You can see it again here. She just kind of stumbles, and she loses ground. So she still made a run at the end and kind of flattened late. I thought it was a good performance, but we've seen her finish second, a fair share of her career starts, and the one thing we know, she's going to close from off the pace. So I do think that hindered her chances last time out, but I'm not sure she still would have gotten it done.
No, I agree with that. Also, she was down inside. I think that was a point in time when the rail down inside on the Tapeta wasn't very good.
Right.
0 for 8, 4 seconds, like you alluded to, and I get it all. What I do like here is that, they ran her 8 times in the maiden special weight ranks, and it kind of says, we like this horse. Well, it hasn't worked out. Now it's the drop, but the fact they gave her so many chances, I think, is a good sign. Listen, she's very much the one to beat. Number 4, La Costa, has got the tightener on debut. Now, I like the rise in class here. Ran 3rd for 16. Now we bump up for 40.
Yeah, I honestly don't think she faced much last time out, but it was a good debut. I think second time out, there's room for improvement. Lionel Ray's going to climb aboard for the first time. You went with the same idea. You got 2 horses that you really like, and from there, it's a wide open race. We don't even use any of the same horses outside of the 2 and the 5. You go to the 1, Railway, who we haven't seen since December 2020. Hasn't been seen in a long time, but the connections, they do well with new horses.
Late double time in the 8th. It's a good one. It's a state bred optional claimer here. These are fillies and mares 4 and up. We're going to go a snappy 5.5 on the main track to get by Smarmy.
I couldn't see anyone beating her in this race. I know it took her a couple starts to break her maiden. She's yet to finish out of the money. Last time out, she graduated going 7A, so she's going to cut back today in distance, but she got a beautiful trip last time off, just off the pace, and was able to kind of be much the best. And looking at some of her races, they've been productive. Now, she's coming out of Oaklawn. She breezed at Oaklawn Park on March 6th. Coming up here, she's got a bullet works, 2 of her last 3. She looks ready to go.
So I kind of, she's never faced Florida breds before. They paid $700,000 for a daughter of Liam's Map, and Richard Migney buys good horses, bets on horses, and I just thought, this is not, you're not shipping 2 hours here. It's a sizable ship from Oaklawn. Point being, she's not shipping to head to the beach or enjoy the weather. This horse has got to be tearing the barn down. She's not going to lose if they're going to ship. There's probably races at Oaklawn. That's my 2 cents worth. I don't see this horse losing today. You go outside to Merseyside, who has not had any help in the flow of the race of late.
No, and this is one that they decided to take to Fairgrounds 2 starts back and take a try there. She was simply 3rd best, and she was well beaten. Now, the top 2 were kind of clear of the field, and there's only a neck in between them. Her form is, I don't know, a little sketchy because you don't know which way to go with her. You look at the races 4 back, she looks like she could, kind of repeat efforts with a 76 Beyer speed figure, which would put her in the mix, but she hasn't been quite well since that layoff. So I'm hoping today the drop in class, kind of out of some of the races she's been against, Brambleberry and some other runners, this might be better for her.
It's so bizarre that she was at Fairgrounds because she was here in November. She goes to Fairgrounds, and she's back here in February. We've both got a little interest in no decaf with IRAD.
Yeah, from here, with no decaf, I thought last time out was an okay 4th. This is a horse that has early foot, should be involved. Going to go the shortest distance in her career so far. Most of her races have been anywhere from 6 furlongs to a mile, so she's got that early foot. And looking at the race, she should be kind of engaged early. But the question is, what's she going to hang around for? What sort of share?
Close it down in the 9th. We are off the turf here, so again, we'll go mile 70 on the Tapeta. It's a good race, too. It's a maiden special weight, fillies and mares 4 and up, and it's the last replay of the day. It's going to be between Mosey, who's the 5 here, and Investment Income, who's the 1 here. Watch It was also in this race as well, and here you see the Klarovich stable silks down inside.
Yeah, this is a good race to kind of key on from Aqueduct. It's going a mile and an 1/8, that maiden special weight competition, and looking at, a couple runners in here, Investment Income and the trips that they got. There's a lot of takeaways, but Mose, I think, was a pretty good performance from that one to finish 2nd, and kind of was close to that pace throughout.
Yeah, and it's tough distance, and here we come now entering the far turn. Mose's got the first run on Investment Risk, and I thought certainly Mose, but Investment Risk, they both ran well enough to think, they're players in here.
Yeah, and I think they're both logicals in here to use somewhere within your tickets. You can see at this point, watching the way the race pans out, the nice thing to notice, Blue Times ends up being the winner here and stays in front, but comes back to win next time out.
Yeah, and I jumped the gun a little bit. Watch It and Mose were in the race here last time, and Watch It, a Pletcher Firster that day. Didn't really take a lot of money from a bad draw well to be 2nd. We don't have to worry about a first turf stat if you're looking at your form. So now with that tightener behind her, I think Watch It's going to be very tough in here.
That was strong debut you mentioned. It was a race that was rained off and put onto the Tapeta, so there's no reason to take this horse out of here. Ran a good 2nd. Has been working well at Palm Beach Downs. We know Todd does really well with horses 2nd time out.
Price playing with Sonura, who was not on my radar, and you're going to get a lot of value with her.
Had one race last year as a 3-year-old, just over a year ago, going a mile on the turf, and didn't perform really well. Didn't take any play though, 21-1. Yep. Well defeated in there, but I like that they gave this horse plenty of time off. Comes back, runs a really nice 2nd, again at a price. The horse just directly behind her, Fastest Flight, came back to win next time out. That was going a mile and a 16th on the Tapeta, so very similar circumstances. We'll need some pace to run at, but last time out, it's not like they were blistering early on and was still able to close.
Key race in the making here. I'm saying it now. I think you got to remember the names here, even if they don't win. It's a good finale on the Friday card, and that wraps it up. We've got 29 minutes to first post. Before we leave you, though, it's lightning round time. We've got a lot to discuss. First and foremost, Stronach 5 returns today.
Yeah, Stronach 5 is back at it. I know we were on a little bit of a break last week, but, as it says, Overlay City returns. Looking at the sequences, I believe 2 races from Gulfstream Park, the 8th and the 9th, and we already even talked about the 9th. There's a really good race, but it also involves all of our sister tracks. It kicks off at Laurel Park at 4 44:24, and in less than an hour, it wraps up here.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. 44 minutes there, which I think is really, really cool. 12% takeout, dollar minimum, get involved. As our friend announcer Pete likes to say, Overlay City. Beat the Expert is back tomorrow, and I am in the hot seat on a 12-race card.
Yeah, never an easy thing to do. And tomorrow's an interesting card with it being Tampa Bay Derby. A lot of, jocks are not going to be here for the races, so that kind of changes the complexion of the card and maybe adds a little bit of difficulty.
A couple really, really strong maiden special weight races for 3-year-olds with horses that have a license and a pedigree and connections to go places, so take note of that. On a sad note, we lost the 1994 Kentucky Derby winner, Go for Gin, earlier this week, but 31 was a heck of a run.
Yeah, he was the oldest Kentucky Derby winner that was still alive and kicking, and sad to lose him. But looking at his kind of accomplishments, he won 5 times in his career. See, he won the Derby, but he used the Florida Derby as a springboard. He only finished 4th in that race, but you look at some of the horses that he's raced against, Holy Bull, Halo's Image. He saw some really nice horses throughout his career.
Yeah, expertly campaigned by everybody's friend, Nick Zito. So sad, but a heck of a run at 31, and conversely, Joe Bravo, who's everybody's friend as well, and we love Joe, and earned a pretty big award this week.
Yeah, voted by the fans, the George Wolf Award. Joe has been, a longtime resident down here in South Florida, spent a lot of time in New Jersey as well, and kind of made that transition out to California, and he's been successful, but he's ridden some really good horses throughout his career, and he's just one of the nicest people you can meet at the racetrack.
Here he is on Blue Prize, winning the distaff at Santa Anita a couple years ago and knocking me out of the pick 6. That was my only loser. Congratulations, Joe. No, well done. We love him. He's such a good guy. He's great for racing, and that's what that award is. So definitely kudos to him. Deshaun Parker won that last year. And then last but not least, got some voting to do.
Yeah, we do have some voting. Looking ahead towards Preakness, we already think Pegasus, and what do we else we got on the calendar? Triple Crown is just around the corner. So voting for Preakness Art, there's different students that have kind of put in their submissions from the Maryland Institute College of Art. I know we were all looking at some of the pieces yesterday in the media office. There's a ton that's been uploaded, so we just encourage you guys to vote for it.
Yeah, our buddy Phil Janak was in there handicapping all these pictures. We are going to try to get him on today, but he couldn't quite make it. He was getting soup, I think, inside. So that's a wrap on a 9-race card, the lightning round. A lot of good stuff going on. We are fast. We are off the turf. We'll send it up to announcer Pete Aiello to give you all the details. Best of luck. Happy to have you with you today.
I remember the first time I came to Gulfstream. It was like this big fairy tale place.
We back.
Northern Dancer, winner of the Florida Derby.
Yeah.
All the history, all these great horses, trainers, jockeys.
It is Barbaro to the final furlong. He is a neck and front. Barbaro wins!
It was everything that I ever dreamed of.
Sunday silence surges to the front.
First day, opening day of championship meet, I was kind of starstruck. You're watching LeBron James, and then next thing you know, you're playing basketball against him. That's how I felt when I'm riding with Donnie V, riding with Irad, Luis.
So many famous people come, Post Malone, Pharrell, J-Lo was there. It's epic.
The weather is beautiful. The facility is phenomenal.
It's all about Knicks Go. Knicks Go makes it 4 in a row.
It's one of the most beautiful tracks in the country, surrounded by some of the greatest horses and riders. It's amazing.
I'd always had a really deep love of animals. When I started riding, I felt that instant connection. It was this horse, Siren, that she was a thoroughbred, she'd been on the racetrack. It really shaped me growing up because I had to learn how to be confident, but I also had to be compassionate. And she really was that first love I had of a horse.